Hello, Andy.
Cool, man. How you doing tonight, man?
Yeah, I'm cool. I was just sat making some music, and I got a spontaneous call being like, hey, I've got this radio show, turn up. So I'm like, yeah, cool.
Yeah, turn up, that's how it is, man. Actually, I called you by your real name there, I know. Actually, Godtek.
Yeah.
How's it doing there, man? Godtek is, how long you been a DJ Godtek?
So, Godtek was born about 3 years ago when I came back to being a Christian. I came back to faith. I went off the path for a few years, quite significantly. And then when I came to faith, I felt God being like, you need to make Christian drum and bass. And I was like, well, firstly, I don't know how to make drum and bass. And secondly, I'm not even sure if I'm a Christian now. So, like, okay, fine, I'll do that. So I'm 3 years later, and I'm doing that.
Cool, man. So you just jumped straight into it. And since then, you've been doing everything you do. Like, you do your DJing, and you also make your beats and instrumentals, right?
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is there's loads of different types of genres. A lot of artists just do one genre. A lot of bands just do one genre. And, you know, that works really well. But for me, I can't confine myself to just one, because when I start making drum and bass, by the time I finish the track, I want to work on something much more chilled out. So I end up working on some hip-hop, or maybe even some ambient music. And then coming back around to dance music once I'm bored of being slow. So like there's a whole different dynamic. But the way I view it is like it's just a vehicle conveying God's presence through music.
Yeah.
And that can take pretty much any form. You know, you could be listening to really loud silence and that might be happening. It's just a different way of doing it.
Yeah, man. And normally we speak to people and they're, well, in general, in fact, they're like, if it's UK, it tends to be more London-based, but thankfully, you're out of London today, so we've got something different. You actually, are you still in Buckingham right now?
I am. Buckingham being near Milton Keynes, Midlands. Been there for about 5 years, and it's just like, it's quite small, quiet, and it's not on like any lines to London commuter-wise, so it's relatively hard to get to. It's got a really nice community to it. Yeah, it's kind of been really nice to grow and do really small music events, and really just do it for the love of it.
Yeah, man, we'll talk about that a bit more. I want to crack into your first track I picked, which is Bow Down and Pray. Do you want to tell us about that and introduce it?
Yeah, so I mean, the way that came about, I've been listening to loads of dub reggae, and I found Feedem, I think it was just through Facebook, and I said, hey, let's link up, let's collaborate. Can I do a remix of this track? I really like it. And he said, yeah, sure, send me the stems. And then originally it was going to be a drum and bass remix, but it just ended up being dub reggae because that was the better feel for it.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. You know, honestly, I'm not, like I was saying to you before, I'm not a dance buff. I'm not really that much into that kind of stuff, but in general. But I don't know if it's because it's praising God or what, but I really do like it.
I think it's the way I listen to music and the way I make music is that it's meant to have like a heart and soul to it. A lot of I struggle with a lot of grime music because for me it doesn't make me love in my heart. The music it doesn't carry that sense of like musicality.
Yeah.
Whereas you listen to like the old school hip hop, or you know, like I started off listening to like Notorious B.I.G. and the production work on there, it's just got these beautiful samples and these beautiful melodies. So I try and kind of bear that in mind, whether I'm making dance music or hip hop or whatever.
Yeah, man, I feel you. I mean, that's what it is. I think it's because it's not like the type of dance music that I would normally go for. I mean, not go for, but actually the one that I wouldn't normally listen to is just like boom, 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 boom. This has actually got some feel to it. There's something different there. There's different like hooks and different like links in there. It works, man. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that really caught my imagination with the dub reggae scene. I remember the first dub event I went to, I just went into this room in a club and they had these massive sound systems with loads of rastas wandering around, and it was like, wow, this is a culture I'm a fairly middle-class white guy, and I was just in this room with a culture that I had never experienced before. And that moment of like sound systems just really, really impacted me. So that's kind of that vibe, what I was trying to replicate, that kind of slow, heavy, almost like contemplative, but quite beautiful vibe as well. Man.
And tell us a bit more about your events that you do, because I know you're doing your events up in Buckingham, right? Tell us all about that.
So what we do is something called the Sanctuary music events, and what we aim to do is to equip. We basically spent the last few years working on a model in our church, but we want to move it to other churches, where we want to enable churches to actually engage with local, like dance music culture or hip hop culture, basically music cultures which aren't necessarily represented in conventional church, and therefore people would find it kind of a little bit weird to come to a normal church service. So what it is, we have a prayer team and a prayer room attached to the music event. And the prayer team is just basically they go around the event and they just look for people to talk to. People of peace, as Jesus instructed us in the Great Commission. They just look for people to talk to and pray for. And we've had been able to actually work with people over the course of a while, have discussions, and we, roughly speaking, have about we've had one person every event out of about 30 who attend who gave their lives to Jesus, which is really awesome.
Yeah.
So now we're kind of looking at discipleship and how do we then integrate into the main church with a different type of music. It's interesting and it's challenging.
Yeah, man. But your events are actual like proper dance events, aren't they? Like you're on the DJ and it's everything's going on.
We stick a fully massive sound system in the church, and we have about 6 hours of music and different sorts of DJs, some Christian, some non-Christian, and it's been a real eye opener to a lot of people of being like, oh right, okay, well actually Jesus isn't about just doing that religious thing. It's about I can actually live this for the rest of my life because this is what I do, and I can carry this with me, which is a really important thing.
That's cool, man. How often do you do these events? So
we've been doing them monthly. Yeah, it builds up like a regular rhythm, and it means that we can see, roughly speaking, the same people.
Are they free to go to, or is there a little charge?
Yeah, we try and do them free. I think free events are it means that anyone can just walk in. Whereas if you pay, especially if you're not a Christian, you're paying for a church event, you're expecting certain things, and if something doesn't go according to the way that you think it should go, then you're not going to come back. Whereas if it's a free event, it's just a free event,
Yeah, man, and hopefully that draws them back in every time. And that's how long you've been doing the events now, then?
Total of about two years.
Cool. So quite a while then. You've obviously got the establishment up and running.
Yeah. It kind of got born off. I started doing secular events like raves in just local pubs and stuff with a friend of mine, and we owned a sound system. And then that kind of fell by the wayside when I came to faith. And so it naturally just kind of translated into a church setting where I used drum and bass or house or whatever to focus on God, to worship God.
Yeah, man. And tell us more about your obviously you do DJ and you're known as DJ Godtek, but then you've also got your aliases of Global Fire and what's the other one you have?
Love Above All.
Which are different aliases resounding on different genres of music, right?
Yeah, like I was saying, I find it really hard to stick to one genre, and so because I think it's really, in a way, some people really like ambient music, or they really like hip hop, or they really like dance music, whatever. I think the reason I've chosen, the different aliases is so that it can be specific enough that non-Christians will look for it and listen to it, but general enough that people will know, oh, that's still a product of, that they're still linked to something.
Yeah, man. And that sounds good. I mean, obviously you can use that also to collaborate with different artists, I guess. And
I think it really opens the field because, say, if there's, like Anon, I was looking at collaborating with him.
Yeah.
And so the dance, Godtek allows me to send someone a message being like, hey, do you want a dance music remix of that? And the person's like, hey, yeah, okay, and they can roughly speaking know what they're going to get. Or similarly, if I, say to someone, hey, right, I can make you beats they'll know roughly kind of within the boundaries of certain aspects of musicality what they can expect and how we can interact.
All right, man, we're having a little conversation tonight, and our conversation tonight is based upon Chance the Rapper and Stormzy, and it's basically based around the kind of talk of, obviously in their little speeches in their music recently, there seems to be like Christian vibes there and elements of Christianity in there, and obviously a lot of people who are Christian in the genre of Christian musics, they're saying things like, "Well, are these Christian rappers?" and all this kind of stuff. So, what's your verdict on that? Are they Christian rappers? Do you think, or like what's their thing?
I don't know, because it's the same. For me, it's like you could say, well, is President Donald Trump a Christian? Now, he has a lot of interviews that suggest that he is interacting with Christians. But the thing is, I mean, really, that's between God and him. And, you say you can judge a person by their fruit. And is that person displaying the fruit of the Spirit in their life? Now, in a way, I'm going to kind of dodge the question because I avoid watching a lot of news. I avoid watching a lot of like entertainment culture news or that sort of thing. I don't think it really does that much for people. The thing about Chance the Rapper I'm fascinated by is that he is, from the little interviews, especially about when he accepted a particular award recently, he openly and completely gave his credit to God.
Yeah.
And that's really awesome, you know, because I think it takes a little chink of light in the door, so to speak, for people to realise that it's open at a certain level. And those people are probably quite hard to get to, you know, for your normal churchgoer, so to speak. So, like, I think there's little windows of light appearing in relatively high level, so to speak, like celebrity culture. And those people are elements of how, you know, I think also it's like people have become bored of materialism. They've become bored of success. They've become bored of like cars and money and fame. We're in an era that's like post all that. So everyone's searching and going, well, right, what do we do now? Like, what's the next thing, you know? And I think really the logical answer to that is actually, well, what is the thing beyond all things? You end up getting to God at a certain point. So they may be talking about God, you know, but then there's the whole thing of, well, you can spend your life praying, but then are you actually a Christian? And you know that I don't know their story. I don't know how they've walked with Jesus over the years and where they're at in that. But
yeah,
if I was to be able to question them, that's the approach I would go through.